Yeah, remember, guys, this is still the 4-part series where we are doing, an in-depth. Is it in-depth? So a sort of in-depth dive into racism and how it sort of impacted Americans and Africans
as a whole.
but from an African perspective, because we don't really hear it from an African perspective a lot. So that's what it's about. It's a 4-part series. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Part 3 is going to be the effects of racism on Africans and the effects of racism on African Americans out there. Effects on Africans. We broke it down into 2 effects. And the first effect, we wanted to take it from the economic perspective, because we all know Africa, the economic situation in Africa is very bad as compared to the Americans. So clearly, you can create some kind of a connection between, the slavery and economic, breakdown in a way. So yeah, that's our first one. We're just going to tackle that point. So Jeff, what do you think about the economic perspective?
Well, I think first of all, when they came and picked up our strong men, we lost a lot of labor,
Yeah.
I don't know what our lives would have been like if there was nothing as slavery and all those men and women were not taken out from our countries, our homes. Probably Africa would have been better than it is now. Probably not. The thing is, we'll never know. But it is one of the main keys tied to our economic breakdown. We lost a lot of labor back then. And that affected us. The ripple effect, we still see it here in today's world.
Yeah.
So I think basically
the economic, so my thoughts on our economic perspective is basically the same thing. The labor, the people that were taken away, you could have had a lot of intelligent people who could have been here.
Exactly.
And they were taken away. So there's clearly an economic impact on it. And labor, like I mentioned in the earlier video, is a very important factor of production. If you take a lot of it out, you'll be left with nothing.
Exactly.
Wow. And I feel like the chiefs of Ghana, they owe an apology to
all Ghanaians.
Ghanaians and the Black Americans, especially the Black Americans, because the chiefs were part of those who
they actually made the trade.
They were selling the trade. But I watched this video, and there was a point someone made that the Americans, the white people, British people, when they came, they intentionally did little things to incite violence between. It's
divide and conquer.
Yeah, divide and conquer. So it's usually the spoils of war as at that time was the slaves.
Yes.
So they were giving us weapons to go and fight. Get and capture your opponent's slaves and come and trade for this.
Exactly.
It wasn't entirely our fault, but
that's true.
But then we did incite Accra.
I've heard that news too.
Yeah.
They were people that were sold the most were prisoners.
Yeah.
And the prisoners were prisoners of war.
So they owe the Black Americans a big apology. I think they should record. They should do a press conference where they're okay, so we officially, on behalf of the royal family and all, want to apologize and provide this amount of capital for the Black Americans out there for the Black Lives Matter. The Black Lives Matter. Because
how are they going to do that now? Where are they? No. Where are they now?
Who is going?
All them chiefs. Where
some
they
still there?
Oh really? Some still there? No, I think they're all dead now. They are the same.
You get money. If you provide money for the Black Lives Matter movement. So the economic perspective, and if you think about it, too, because of that simple fact that we lost the labor, we weren't able to sort of develop and make money. It sort of makes us lose leverage in the international market. Have you thought about it? It's you see when something. You remember what happened to the Canadian girl? Some Canadian woman came to Ghana and got kidnapped.
Okay,
right? At the issue where there were some kidnapping of some girls.
Them kids from
Some girls.
Is it some school?
And they all turned out dead or something. As at that same time, there was a kidnapping of some Canadian woman.
I do remember.
And the Canadian governments were like, nah.
They were hot on us.
They were hot on us. They sent agents here. But when you look at Ghana and what happened to
the
George
kids.
Floyd.
What
happened to George Floyd? We don't have any leverage to say that prosecute the police people who did it, or else maybe we won't trade this with you.
No,
because
but
we don't have that leverage.
Exactly. And then the whole point is we don't even know the origin of George Floyd. Do you know the origin of George Floyd? Is he Ghanaian? African. No, he's African, but we don't fully know where his race came from.
Yeah, of course. We don't know where he's from, but just the mere fact that he's black, it shows that he's obviously from the African descent.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, like, when I mean collectively. Like,
I think collectively, nations...
Asia has, like...
A collective lead.
No, like, they have this thing where it's like they have leverage. If something happens to a Chinese person in China can get up and say, yo, if you don't prosecute the person who did this, or if you don't let the person who did it pay for the crime, we won't trade this with you, or we'll put in this trade restriction.
Mm-hmm.
And America will be scared, like, yo, we have to prosecute them, otherwise this is what will happen. But for Africa, we can't do it because we don't have any leverage. It's like,
what leverage do we have?
Depend on them.
Seriously, exactly. They came and swapped all of our gold.
So we don't have any leverage.
Giving us mirrors every year. I'll say close to, is it 3% of the international trade?
Yeah. So there's no leverage for us. Like when something is happening to black people out there, I strongly feel sometimes that we can help. Like, because they are blacks, mm-hmm. They have our same color, so there should be a way where we can help. But then we can't help. Like, our government can't do.
There's nothing they can do about
just
it
go on
now.
Twitter and tweet Black Lives Matter.
Oh, they can. They can do something about it, but it depends on who
will do it. Which country will do it? Or if you do it, then say the US people will come for you.
But those times that Kofi Annan used to be, the secretary, the UN secretary.
Who knows? Maybe they could have done
things were being done.
Okay.
But
another point that came to my mind
psychology.
Is the Industrial Revolution. Because I'm trying to link the labor to a lot of things, the loss of labor. Think about, did Ghana have a really good industrial revolution? Ours was poor,
prior to the whole slave trade thing. No,
but then I'm imagining a world where, and this is totally it's a hypothetical world in my own head. I'm imagining a world where when the Americans came, instead of slave trade, they actually came to cooperate with us. So instead of just taking all our labor or something, let's say they came to take the gold. From what we learned earlier, they came to take the gold. So if they came to take the gold, we didn't give them the labor, but then we took technology in exchange. We have little technology in exchange. If it was that kind of a partnership, don't you think maybe we would have been a bit better off?
Yeah, we would. But also, let's not forget that as of that time, it was all about manpower, because that was the farming era. Yeah, you get it. And then almost everyone out there was depending on.
They needed a lot of
countries
countries needed labor.
Exactly.
Okay,
so
that word wouldn't have existed in any way, but you know, it was worth a try. And what do you think about it in relation to colonialism?
Well,
when they colonized us, we couldn't fight.
It's not as if we couldn't fight. We basically just gave up everything to them. So we had no say in whether or not we wanted them to be around.
Oh, okay.
Because the chiefs had already given in. Yeah. They gave us weapons and everything. So as of the time that they got to realize that we are dumb, It was too late.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it means it's like, it feels like, yo, these people, they be really diabolical. It be like them shada, them plans. Okay. Before we come to Africa, this is the plan.
They took a step-by-step strategy.
We do this. And when we cripple them, we'll make them our colony. Then that's it. So yeah, everything was done in a really systematic way.
They're smart.
Another point where we sort of took the effects on Africans from was the psychological aspect of it, and the trauma it has on us now. I take it like, if I'm born into the world, right, and you come to hear that there was such a thing as slavery, the effect it has on you'll be like, you won't understand the world. The world will be very confusing to you, and you'll be looking at the white people in a different way. You'll be looking at them like, so you guys actually did this thing. So I don't know, it sort of breeds this hate relationship in my head. When I see
I get you.
a white person, I'm like, you did bomb me.
Exactly.
So your ancestors
you had the guts to come here and
do
then
this. So on one hand, you can make an argument for the anger, but on another hand, you can see that we like white things a lot. So it's weird.
I don't know. I think, you see, the main fact that they came here, although they knew nothing about us, but they thought of it that, why don't we give them mirror? And our kings and queens saw it, and they were excited.
Oh yeah.
This is the first time they see mirror. So I think the whole psychology, affects us. They've got lots of fancy stuff that we can't produce.
Yeah.
Right. In as much as we try, we still don't have that level of technology to replicate.
Yeah.
So one way or the other, we already feel this level of inferiority. You get it. And then
complex.
two, although we try to match up with them, we lack the technology to do so.
Yeah.
So now everything that we produce down here, we have that instinctive, will to measure it up with what they have.
Exactly, that's a very good point.
And then we just turn up to hate what we have now. What they have is better off than what we haven't.
Yeah.
So one way or the other, we hate ourselves, and then we also, it's not as if we like them, but we envy them.
Okay.
You get it?
Yeah.
We
so
envy them.
We feel
so
they are
we
better
want
than
to
us.
be them. So we just go in for whatever they've got, instead of thinking of how to make up stuff for our own.
For our own selves.
You get it?
Yeah.
So psychologically, we have this inferiority complex. That's one.
That's a very good point. That was a very good point. And I'm thinking about the effects it has on the social breakdown on our culture. Because of that, we've sort of left our original culture, and we've sort of adopted a lot of these foreign cultures where, like, you see a lot of marriages going on nowadays, and everything is just, it feels very foreign.
Oh boy.
It feels super foreign. It feels like the traditional weddings we have here are
now fading off.
Outdated.
Yeah,
it feels like if you see someone doing a traditional wedding,
this thing still exists?
Like this year, they're still doing the traditional wedding, and I'm like, you fail to remember that, you fail to acknowledge that it's the white man's culture that you are doing. Like that style of wedding that they were doing, that was what they were doing in their olden days. So they are sticking with their culture. So why won't we just make our culture better?
And you see, funny enough, although we try to copy their culture, we still end up copying it blindly. And it's so annoying.
How we don't do it properly, or
we don't do it properly at all. We don't
copy too. The copy that's in jail. It be like the open work if you say, bro, copy that thing. Yeah, you copy that thing too. You feel as with the copy that.
It just the bomb. It just the bomb.
Jesus. So yeah. Everything you said.
Our music industry now is a replica of what they are doing, but in a bad way.
I try to copy it, but we it doesn't seem very original. Think about this. The drill. There's this style of music. It's called drill music. Have you know Pop Smoke?
Yeah, I know Pop Smoke.
That's the kind of music he does, but it's more of a UK thing.
Okay.
So when Pop Smoke died a few months later, it was in last year now, and we sort of adopted this drill scene, and right after that happened, everybody drill. every new music coming out now is drill. But drill was made like a really, really long while ago, going back to Chief Keef, like very, very long ago. I'm like, so can't we be original? Like, can't we make a style of music where other people would also adapt and copy from us? The Europeans have their own style of making music. US have their own style of making music. Asia have their own style. Even Nigeria.
You see, the thing is,
even Nigeria have their own sound. If you hear a Nigerian beat,
you know that this is
but
Nigerian
if you
beat.
come to Ghana, it's like we've copied so many
now we don't even have the original stuff
we don't have
anymore.
our original stuff. I think our original stuff was in the past, like that the Lumba dance in my time. That's what you can say that okay, this sounds Ghanaian. Yeah. But now I don't know, it seems whitewashed.
Wow. It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
so-
But you see, when we also want to be solo, be original, I think Ghana or Africa may end up like North Korea. Because one way or the other, we fully depend on them for everything, even for toothpaste. We depend on them.
Yeah.
And here lies the case we want to go. I think that also adds to the economic breakdown
part.
Here lies the case we decide to go solo, produce our own stuff, improve on our own technology. If US, Britain, China, they all decide to shun us, okay, well, you guys want to be alone.
So do your thing.
Do your thing. Nigga, we're going back to old age.
Yeah, it will be very difficult. It will be very difficult.
That will be so difficult.
We've depended so much on them to the extent that being independent seems very impossible.
It looks as if it's far from our reach.
Very far. Like I said before, we were to get there. It will take like a really
long time.
It will take a long
and a
time.
Change of mindset.
And I think education can help.
Although
if in the long run, we can improve education, like if we can change our education system so that instead of teaching us stuff we won't be using, you focus on
what we want, what we need.
Focus on what is needed. Focus on teaching stuff about financial literacy, like how to make money, entrepreneurship, like hits on the points that will bring you financial freedom. Instead of
and you see one thing too about our textbooks, I mean we're in the university now basically, we've opened our textbooks, lots of them. You see the same Ghanaian authors writing, and if they are to give relevant examples, they don't relate it to any black community. They just go up straight. So if you're to take US, the economy is blah blah blah. You feel me? So instead of me being authentic, we are rather subduing to their whole level of command. And then, like you said, Charlie, we seriously need a
very huge change of mindset.
We need to be baptized.
Baptized the river of education. But it will take a long while. It will take a long while. And that's why I want to bring this in. It's very off topic, but that's why I more or less like, anytime I think about the free SHS, it's very difficult for me to see I don't like it or I like it. Because on one hand, I think about education, the regular form of education that we had. Let's say we're educating 50 people, and let's say the other 50 children, they know nothing. But free SHS, we're educating, let's say 100 people. And even though maybe the level of things they are learning goes down, at least the other 50 people
get to know something.
Exactly. Just that little something can help.
I feel you.
So on one hand, you're like, it's a good thing, but on another hand, you're like, but there's no money to finance it. So
the little education someone gets can literally spark any form of creativity.
Wow. So
it's good.
It's good.
Although it has its downsides.
It has its downsides, but it has its good sides. It's a very nuanced issue. And anytime you hear people talk about praise, they're like, it's bad. But at least acknowledge that.
I always ask the question, okay, so if I were a parent, assuming I had nothing, without this free SHS, my kids will be staying at home. But with this free SHS, at least they get to go to school, they get to mingle. Even if they decide not to study, they get to have this sort of relationships. And our relationship is the new currency. So
it's the people you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, so yeah, that's it on the effect of Africans. We took it from the economic perspective and from the psychological. There are a lot of.
There are tons of them.
There are tons of different effects, but these are the effects that we wanted to
talk
about a lot more. And I don't know. We hope maybe you guys took some interesting points from it.